Emmons.
Yeah.
Hey, what's good, y'all? Welcome to another week of the AMLoB Podcast.
You gotta tell me something, Corey. Just DM me.
We have almost a full cast. No bitches, of course, but what's new?
Oh, geez. Shots fired.
Well, I mean, unfortunately for Wombo, he doesn't know he's very rarely here, so he does.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I didn't say he'd be offended by it, but I mean, he does have the worst presidency record here, which is saying a lot because Corey's got kids, and so that really is saying a lot.
Wow, that moment Deshaun Kaiser throws 3 wild passes in a row.
Are you actually playing the game right now?
I'm playing at this moment, but yeah. So let's get into these power rankings, fellas.
So number one, which isn't a news story ever since he won the Super Bowl preseason rankings, everything was up there. We got Mr. LJ at number one. Looking at his key wins, he's got 3 of them already, and there's only been 4 games. He beat Roger in a crazy scoring game, which normally you don't see LJ's defense give up. If I remember correctly, he blew the bricks off of Washington. And then he played Josh, and I think the game, the score was 25-0. So all 3 really good users, and I mean that pretty much speaks for itself.
I mean, that would be 3 top 10 guys if the loss to LJ didn't knock Roger out of the top 10.
Well, I don't think the loss to LJ really knocked him out of the top 10, but I mean, because he lost to Lights too, so just like combined 2 losses. But let's not spoil it for everybody, man. Jeez.
You know, I was more so meaning both of them. If he only had one of them, you know, maybe he'd. Yeah,
we didn't just spoil that Rodgers just dropped out of the top 10 after he's normally a consistent top 5 user.
You know what? Maybe you should spoil stuff more. Okay, maybe that's what you should do.
Yeah, we just lost Roger as a viewer because he knows he's not in the top 10.
Right. He just wants to talk about it now. He knows we're losing viewership now, Crip. So. There's that.
Okay, fine. You want me to leave? Is that what you want me to do?
Viewership right there.
You want me to leave? I'll just go. Y'all can do it yourselves.
LJ thing is self-explanatory, but if you guys go ahead and if you guys have any like comments you want to make, obviously go for it, and then we'll move on to number 2.
I mean, great team, great start. Coming off Super Bowl win, he's gave every reason to maintain the number 1 spot.
I think he's got I think he has the most significant games played period, much less significant wins after winning all 3 of them.
Right.
And I think that kind of speaks for itself in the fact that he is, you know, once again dominating what has proved to be a tough schedule for him to start the year. And I'm just looking forward to that LJ Corey matchup later in the year.
Yeah, I might not miss the LJ game, which I'm looking forward to having my rematch. So. It's gonna be a last-minute one.
Looking forward to Week 17.
Number
a rematch or a re-loss. Emmons.
Whoa! Someone a little salty about Week 1.
I am still salty. I will be salty. You know me well enough to know I will be salty about that all season. So,
speaking of me, moving on to number 2, we got myself. So I'll let you guys go ahead and start it off, and we'll go from there.
Fluky Week 1 win.
Okay.
I'm kidding. No.
Right to my defense line.
No, Emmons has had a great start to the year, building off of what was an already very good first year with the Lions last year. And, you know, Emmons, you'll have to remind me who else you've played other than I know you played me week 1.
Week 1, I played the Titans week 2. I got a force versus Michael, and then I beat Chan last night 34-10.
Okay, that was the other one I was thinking about. I mean, you've got, 2 victories.
A blocked field goal, rip me.
You've got, so what you're saying is that you've got 2 victories over 2 teams that are a combined 6-2 through 4 games. I think that kind of, yeah, with both losses being to you. Yeah, I think that kind of speaks for itself that, I mean, the start to the year you've had.
I'm talking shit, to be honest.
Yeah, I know you are. That's why I'm just going with it. I'm just ignoring it. For once, I'm trying to be the bigger man. Will you just let me be it?
I love you for it. Corey, LJ, go ahead.
Oh, we're talking about number 2?
Yeah, we're talking about me.
Okay.
He's begging for you to talk about him.
Well, the thing with, I mean, like I've been saying, is he's taking that team and return them back to the glory times that they had with Snippy at the helm.
Speaking of Snippy, to be honest, at least I'm keeping the the history in AMLoB accurate, losing in the first round of the playoffs after.
There's that too.
So you're saying Pook should be ahead of you because he at least will lose in the second round after getting a first round bye?
If power rankings are about how far we got into the playoffs, sure. But I mean, if power rankings are as far as we got in the playoffs, I don't know if Pook would have been number one for as many weeks last year as he was.
I mean, I wouldn't be top. I don't think I'd be top 10. So
I wouldn't be top 10 either. I've made the playoffs like 3 times.
LJ would be perennial number 1, and Lights would always be number 2.
Yep.
Oh.
All right. Number 3. Speaking of Mr. Pook.
I think this is his lowest ranking in a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even like a bad thing. It's just he beat up on 2 guys, and then I mean his win against Self was really impressive though. The only reason I put me ahead of him was because I got 2 of those wins.
Yeah, that was my reasoning for it.
And he had to play his 4th game, which is not really his fault technically, but we did do these rankings pretty much today's deadline. So, but I mean, what he did to Self was almost as demoralizing as what he did to Crips. And a few other guys last season. And what do you think?
I'm just not gonna say anything.
Taking a shot on a prior season.
Normally Crips takes the shots tonight, so we're gonna be the one to do it.
That's all right. But yeah,
we're gonna see if Crips is really trying to be a better man tonight.
You know what? I'll see if you got the stones to do it as much as I do. So
because Pook always complained about not getting enough love at number 1, his one win over Suff was almost as impressive as Emmons' 2 marquee wins.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Like it was really close to me. Like it was tough for me because
I was gonna say we were definitely
we went back and forth on this in the commiss chat, like talking about what to do about 2 and 3. So it was pretty. I mean,
Emmons was over here saying, "Y'all all need to put me at number 2 because I want to put me at number 2, but I don't want to be the only one."
Whoa, no, not accurate. But we'll go with that.
I've started to take. I don't know if like Eagles has been rubbing off on me somehow through GroupMe, but I feel like I've been the hot take guy because I jumped on that Lions 2, Browns 3 on top of the All Pro list, which the little insight was # Watson number 1 AFC quarterback of the CFM.
Yeah, someone's gonna be the hot take king around here since Eagles is MIA. But I mean, like
all his hot takes just burned him out, you know.
I mean, you play who you play in your schedule. So I mean, Pook's 3-0 start obviously is impressive. It's just as impressive as anything else. But LJ having the 3 key wins, me having the 2, Pook having the 1, even though it was a really impressive one. But I just have him at 3.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at it a few weeks from now, he's probably back at number 2. But
after you lose, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll be gone for like 4 games, so yeah.
Exactly. So after you lose.
And then at number 4, we got another guy who's been like he's kind of quiet, but we do talk about him a lot. But we always like I don't really know how to describe Grid. We got Grid at number 4 at he's 3-0. He beat Lights, which is as impressive as a win as any.
Might be up there with his top 2 or 3 most impressive wins of the CFM, considering that depth of talent that Lights has on his team.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I would almost put it at the top because Lights is using Hand Garner and the divisional rival they split last season between stuff, which was kind of his biggest win at the time, I think.
I agree.
And Lights is always a top user in the league too in power rankings, and just like I mean, even regardless of power rankings, he's always a top user in here. The fact that Grid went on there and beat him, I mean, it's impressive to me. So I mean, I don't think there's any question on number 4, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I think this was like the most agreed upon this top 10 has ever been this week.
I mean, yeah, we had a top 6 that everyone agreed on, and I think there were 2 other spots in the top 10 that everyone agreed on. So,
oh shit!
Anything you want to tell us, LJ, or are you just reacting to your Madden?
That part.
Live looking at LJ's reactions to Madden. Tune in. Numbers.
Yeah.
Are we on 5? Yeah, we're on 5. This is probably the surprise of the top 10, to be honest. Mr. Connor, ever since he became a Wumbo, apparently he just likes playing Madden. He's number 5.
Wombology has taken over him.
Well, unfortunately for him, Wombology does not do well in the playoffs. He's 3-0 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't know. I didn't get to watch the game there too, Corey, but I mean the score was pretty self-telling. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, but I didn't stream it because we were having our like Madden 19 talk, and I didn't know if the chat would carry over on it. Essentially, I just was not getting good breaks on passes, and he was getting a lot of interceptions, and it just kind of snowballed. He played a really solid game. It was just kind of one of those ones where I think I got an interception early with McAllister. He had a good red zone stand, coupled me to a field goal, and then like that next possession, I got him into 3rd and long, and he just threw a bomb to Peck, and I switched on to Peters to left trigger face the ball for the interception, and Peters didn't enter the animation, so he just kind of stopped and stood there. So Peck got like a 75-yard touchdown off that play, and that was just kind of the story of the game after that.
Corey, you bitching about that game again?
I mean, no, I can't take anything. I can't take anything with him. He played a strong game.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely so far the most impressive run into the top 10. I think when you just look at the other users who are in here, I mean, are really got other guys who are always consistently top 10 normally.
Oh yeah, no, Connor being in the top 10, I've been impressed by his start this year.
Not to mention the top 10, but he's top 5.
Yeah, I agree. So, I agree.
I think that's the way he beat Corey. I mean, not to keep talking about Corey, but
that's cool.
Was impressive in one of the most.
I was salty at the time, but it happens.
Yeah, and one of the most impressive wins of the season, just like Pook's demolishing of stuff. I mean, the same thing happened pretty much. So not as bad, obviously, but that's what was impressive to me, and that's why I had him over our number 6 guy, who is another Wumbo, Bishes. Who's 3-0, and I mean, he's just 3-0. He's the last undefeated team. I think he beat the Ravens or the Steelers twice. It was one of the two.
He beat Steelers twice.
Yeah, he beat the Steelers twice, and then I think he beat the Ravens, or he beat somebody else. So I mean, you're 3-0. So I mean, that's impressive. We all know what Bishes is capable of.
Be a little bish,
but he doesn't. Out of the other undefeated teams, he doesn't have that signature win yet. So that's why he's the last on my list and all of our lists actually of the undefeated teams.
Mm-hmm. Well, as we once again say with the unanimous top, however many it was, top 6, and then
7 was there was a little discrepancy, but 3 of us agreed on 7.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on to 7, we got another team that's kind of skyrocketed from the preseason from last season, which we all know is a good user, really good user. It's Josh, coming in at 3-1. He made a really early statement early on in the season in week 1, pretty much demolishing Matthew, who's another solid user, and taking care of business since then. He beats the Saints. He beat somebody else. And he took a tough loss to LJ, but I think we all know with Josh being in leagues with him, we all know what he's capable of. I mean, he's definitely a top 10 user, and now he's finally starting to get the hang of Carl Weezer. So I've lost track of how many names he's had in the years of AMLoB, but he's getting up there. He's fighting a group with that team. I don't think the loss to LJ is anything to hang your hat on if you're him. And you're 3-1. I think him and Corey might be tied for the division. Since are you 3-1 too, Corey?
I'm 3-1, but I'm 3-0 in division, so I don't know if that puts me. Yeah, based on that, it puts me over him.
So as of right now, I mean, you guys are battling for the top spot. I think that's going to be clear of how it's going to come down to with Snippy being gone. Chargers is 1-2.
I think we play next week, actually.
So that's going to be a big statement game for both of you. Yep. Chargers is gone. I mean, Chargers is 1-2. Don't really know how good of a user he is, but I mean, 1-2 after your other teams are playing pretty well is a tough hole to dig out of, even though it is early. But yeah, Josh is an elite user in my opinion, so definitely worthy of a top 10 ranking coming in at number 7.
Yep. Nothing to disagree with there.
Definitely.
It's quiet tonight.
I don't. I mean, you're talking for all of us. I mean, I don't think we're not. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, you're just kind of saying what's on all of our minds.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm the only one that rated myself over Josh, and that's just kind of me having a little bit of Crips creep in where
We haven't called a little bit of Crips. That 1 week Crips came in and put himself at like 6, and we all had him at like 12.
It's not the only time it's happened. To be fair, I'm for better or worse known for ranking myself very uniquely, and we can leave it at that.
But yeah, I mean, him being at that spot, he's 3 wins, with one of those being Matthew, who's been proven to be a good user in the league, and then the only loss being the number 1 team. It's definitely deserving of being the first team after all the unbeatens are cleared.
Yeah, it's actually, I mean, I don't know if this is just like we have a lot of 1-loss teams.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, the way it works when you get kind of to this point in the CFM, you're going to have a lot of top-heavy win-loss because you have so many force losses happening.
Which it makes it like interesting to rank because like I'm putting a guy who's got 1 loss at like 16, and it's like, okay, I guess I got to put you here. So we now have round number 8.
Fucking wow.
Oh.
All right then.
I just kind
Me
of.
too, LJ. Me too. Me too.
Number 8 is Corey. I do know that. Corey, what's your keyword in there? My computer's frozen on it, so I can't.
Yeah, so number 8 is myself. I had myself at 8. LJ had me at 9, and you and Crips both had me at 8 as well.
Yeah, I mean, the 1 loss being to the number 5 team, even though it was a surprise, doesn't really hurt you. You take care of business. You beat your division rival in the Chargers, which looked like it was a pretty tough game. So when you came out with the win, you didn't take care of business other than that. So again, 3-1. We all know what you're normally capable of. Defense that you built over there, not to mention your weapons that you now have on offense. I don't really see putting anybody else behind you over you. So we got you right there at 8. I think it's a good spot for you as of right now. That game between you and Josh is probably going to be the game of the week, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
I agree. Now, I mean, Corey's had a great start to the year. I mean, 3-1. I mean, I feel like we've said so much of the same old about everybody, which I feel kind of bad that. I mean, as we've kind of gone on, all the standard guys have kind of. It feels like we've kind of run out of things to say, to an extent.
Well,
but
I mean,
that's what you get for being consistently really good. Is everything has been said.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, I think kind of once we get into 19 and the game is new and there aren't like solidified teams, like LJ will be perennially in that top 5 unless he just kind of stops trying, partly because his team is so good that just assists a lot. So, I mean, once we get into 19 where the team overalls are a lot more volatile and there's a lot more team building and everyone's learning it, I think we'll get to expand on a lot more people in the power rankings. We just started this later in the cycle.
Kind of middle of the connected franchise, and pretty much the last couple of seasons it's been pretty consistent with it, which is fine. But like Corey was saying, once we get into Madden 19, not only are things going to change, you're going to have more guys that are active. So hence, more guys being in the top 10, more guys kind of falling apart and stuff like that. So kind of like how we had early on when, for sure, like our division, Grips knows me, you, and Dicey. One of us would be in the top 10 1 week, and then one of us would beat each other, and then normally me would fall out of the top 10 for a little bit, and then we'd crawl our way back. So, but then now the last couple of seasons, so I mean, it's been the same pretty much. Besides, I think the only 2 new guys, there's 3 new guys in the top 10 this week, which is good to see. But other than that, it's pretty consistent.
Same old, yeah.
Right. So number 9 is another guy who's the same old. It's Lights. He's 2-1 according to when we did this morning. He beat Roger, lost to Grid. Win against Roger's important, or not? I mean, it's important.
Significant.
Right. And the only loss, like I said, was to Grid, which is not a bad loss at all. Just more of an impressive win for Grid. We all know what Lights is capable of doing. We say it every show. He's won a couple, 2 Super Bowls, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this might be this could just be me not thinking through it enough, but I feel like this might be the lowest ranking spot for Lights in a while.
No, it's
no.
not. He got
He's
knocked
been
out of the top 10 like 3 times last year.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. I feel like it's still just low for him, just in general, just because he's perennially such a good user.
Don't you remember, Cripps? You were constantly holding that over Rogers' head that it wasn't a quality win over Lights.
Yeah.
Lights
I'm not
using Cam Garner, and he was outside top 10 for like the first half of the season.
You're right, and you're right. I was
that was a
over his
little.
head.
I mean, that was a little crazy of a take there.
No, I don't know. I still just in my gut, like even if he wasn't last year, I feel like he's perennially such a consistent contender that is kind of the point I was trying to make. That.
And then rounding out the top 10, we got another guy who's new in the top 10. Chan was 3-0. Me and him played last night. I won. But other than that, I mean, he beat Dicey, which is his key win so far this season. I think he's got 2 forces other than that.
Yeah.
So, like, you play who's on your schedule. I mean, you get handed 2 CPUs. You get the force wins, nothing against him. It's just kind of why I had him where I had him. I had him the highest out of anybody. So, look what I'm doing. But yeah, I think Chan, he's worthy of being in the top 10. He's definitely got to do a little more to consistently be in the top 10, though, and see where he goes from here.
Yep. I think that sums up a lot of. No, I think we actually. I haven't been in a lot of leagues with Chan in the past. Unlike some like y'all that have been in Oasis more, have played him more. I've only played him a couple times.
And he's a consistent guy to get to at least the second round. Sometimes even the NFC Championship game in Oasis. I mean, he picked off Splooge 8 times with one guy.
Yeah, he did.
So you give him the right team. He's definitely a user that can be dangerous. In Rising, I played him in the AFC Championship too. He made it with the Broncos and Brock Osweiler. Or no, it was Paxton Lynch. I'm sorry.
Who the hell got hurt?
Uh-oh. More LJ drops. Yeah, so I mean, outside of that,
Jesus.
outside of that, you got a couple of guys who were pretty close to being in the top 10. Matthew came in at 11. Really, his only loss is to Josh, but he doesn't really have a key win. Suff is right there as well at 2-1. Another guy doesn't really have a key win, lost to Pook. Then comes Mr. Cripps at 13. He beat Levi, lost to me. And then at 14, we got Mr. Roger. And actually, I want to talk about this for a second because Mr. Corey, is Corey with us still?
Yeah, I'm just on mute so that I'm not slamming my keyboard in your all's ears.
So all three of us, me, LJ, and Cripps all had Roger at 14. You had him at 18. Is there a specific reason for that? I mean, I'm not necessarily going to, because it's really close. So, I mean, I'm not going to really argue it.
At 18, though?
Yeah, at that point, I was kind of going down through the records, and he was at 2-2 there.
Right.
I didn't dig into the schedules as deeply once we got into those middle tier ones, and I was looking at 2-1 teams and 3-1 teams in front of him, with the only 2-2 team ahead of him. Looks like.
I mean, he beat AP Bills, and I think he beat another AP. So I mean, I can't really knock the 18 because the 2 user games he's played, he's lost. But I mean, then again, it's the Lights and LJ, so those guys aren't slouches or anything.
Yeah, I'm interested to see Roger's team building strategy for 19 because he just has been stripping away core pieces after every season, it seems, this cycle.
Right.
First, it was that 6'4" freak corner, and he's gotten rid of Buckner. And I was talking to him about trying to get Solomon, but we never found common ground there. And then he got rid of Godwin. I'll be interested to see how 19 goes.
Yeah, for sure. 19 is going to change a lot of things. I guess we can kind of move into 19 talking about it.
Yeah, actually, now that you said that, kind of makes me think about how with team building and everything completely changing up how it's been in the past, it's really going to be interesting to see someone with a just constant idea, kind of like how Roger does, where he likes to trade. Where he likes to trade guys all the time. I mean, because there's going to be more of an emphasis on team building and schemes and everything like that. If that same strategy and everything is going to work to the same effectiveness as he's had it work to in the past.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be interesting for a lot of things because, I mean, I feel like we're also used to building a team like a certain way, how we like to build them. Now it's, I mean, because there's been a few guys maybe play the beta and stuff and a couple little things with it, so I'm not really sure how the team building necessarily works yet. I haven't done much reading either, but it's definitely going to change for all of us pretty much on what we got to do, and maybe some other stuff that we're going to be coming up with for the league. Change it up a little bit for the better, in our opinion. We'll talk about that more, but so there's going to be some changes in Madden 19. I'm definitely excited for them. Hoping EA doesn't disappoint us with this one.
That's funny.
Yeah, what I'm excited about is if the archetypes and building to a true scheme actually functions the way it's supposed to, is that like season 3 through 6 window, the guys that come in with a set game plan of, okay, I'm going to transition to this scheme, actually kind of see it come to fruition for them. Whereas now you just take in and plug anybody at any position and they can play it as long as they've got a threshold.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing that the whole threshold system is probably going to help get rid of. But, I'm still interested to see how, or the whole lack of a threshold system is going to get rid of. But I'm still interested to see how, just in general, everything is going to be affected and changed by they're really taking a lot of stuff that they've done in the last few years and kind of turning it on its head. And I feel like it's either going to end up working really well or it's going to be really crappy. Right. And I feel like the way that from what we've seen so far is that it's leaning more towards really well, but there's always that chance that it's not. And
I feel like when 18 came out and we were talking about the Frostbite engine and that they could really fall on their faces with this one as an 18. I feel like 19 is more of that because they're completely overhauling a lot of things. So if they make a couple bad decisions when they really normally don't change much with the CFM, mode, it could be bad. I think this is the biggest risk reward kind of Madden that they've made in a long time regarding it for what we like, and that's connected franchise.
Yeah,
well, go ahead, Crips. No, you're good. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I think I view last year as more of a sure thing, because we've been talking about this amongst ourselves now since way before the game came out, and I know all of us were kind of in agreement of kind of a very high degree of skepticism with how this would work, because we all, I think the biggest connection we all made was how terrible that first FIFA game on Frostbite was. Not that it was absolutely terrible, but it was just, there was so much stuff that just didn't work, just because they weren't not necessarily not prepared for what all the Frostbite engine would do, but just because there was so much that it would do and have an effect on that it was just impossible to plan for everything. And I think they played it smart. As much as I hated the thresholds and everything, I think they played it smart by leaning threshold heavy, because I think the game could have fallen on its face even more so than it did had they not had it, just because there was so much unpredictability. And I feel like there's at least going to be a little less of that this year, but there's still a healthy degree of skepticism because it is an EA-made game.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I thought 18 had a lot of positives over 17, notably the inability to just progress people into physical freaks.
I liked that. That was a huge thing.
As someone who got a lot of those huge XP payouts, I thought it was going to suck, but as a commissioner in the league, it's been nice to not have to see 55 overall guys get 160,000 XP and be able to boost their speed 10 points kind of stuff.
Yep.
It was a step in the right direction, and I think they're taking that another step forward for the better in 19. My biggest thing with 18 was the gameplay. I just hate going into a game and regardless if they're a good opponent or a bad opponent, my number one fear going to the game is give me RNG Jesus. That's all I ask for. If I can get the 50-50 balls, it's going to be an uphill battle for them as opposed to an uphill battle for me, because every game seems to go one way or the other. Are you going to get the favorable animations, or are you not going to get the favorable animations? I hope that's gone. My kind of fear with real player motion in 19 is you're going to have players like the Derrick Henrys and LeGarrette Blunts that you could have 3 guys tackling them, and it's going to be like, no, this guy's 250 pounds. He's going to fall forward all game. Or the open field stuff, it's going to be so wonky on defense to be able to make an open field tackle that the quick cuts are just going to like leave you in the dust looking stupid.
From what I've heard, though, they've reworked the tackling system, and from everything that I've heard and seen so far, conservative tackling isn't nearly as broken as it was this year. With the fact that
conservative tackling has been broken forever.
I know. I mean, it was horrendous this year, though. I mean, and I think reworking the hit stick system kind of exemplified it, because you were more likely to make a tackle trying to hit and whiff on a hit stick than you were trying to tap A to make a conservative catch or make a conservative tackle. But from what I've seen so far this year, and again, obviously everything's not final builds, but from what I've seen, it's not nearly as it's not nearly as miss or miss as it was this year. And I think that's definitely a positive, because of the fact that, a conservative tackle shouldn't be, an 80% chance of not tackling it. I mean, a conservative tackle, you should be much more likely to make the tackle. That's the whole point of a conservative tackle. So, but then they've also reworked the hit stick system, and so hit sticks are, twice as hard as they are this year, which I also like, because even though they made it harder this year, it was still way too easy to get a hit stick. Yeah. And it just resulted in, rather than resulting in a bunch of missed tackles like it should have, it just resulted in even a 99 carrying running back with brace for all hit, fumbling the ball 7 or 8 times a season.
The fact that you got to put on conservative like 99% of the time, worrying about hit sticks, is kind of ridiculous. Because I mean,
well, and even worse is the fact that conservative was broken for half the year.
Right, and it should work. I mean, it should cause fumbles sometimes, but I mean, at a high success rate at working, when just seeing games played, kind of ridiculous. But I mean, we've all complained enough in main community chat about our games, so I mean, we all know what was pretty much broken with Madden 18, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do in Madden 19 to change the game plan and stuff. Corey touched a little bit about the tackling on the open field, and so it's going to be interesting to see what they do with everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The whole, you have those coaching adjustments that you can make, and that's like, I'm sitting here talking with Shank and main chat about like scripted plays.
Yeah, that his quarterback made was just interesting.
I posted the one after that where I was targeting battle in the deep left part of the field, and it throws it to the right middle straight at a linebacker.
I hate that they do that, because I swear what it is in the code is it's probably coded to be like throw it to the nearest defender or something like that, when I hate that it's not something like, even if you're going to do scripted throws, there's a much better way to do it and have it be within like X vicinity of the receiver, so that it's more so like a bad throw is going to result in going to the middle of nowhere versus going right to a DB.
Well, I don't know.
And I'd rather not do scripted throws, period. But if they're going to do it, that's a better way to do it than the way they're doing it now.
Yeah, I don't know. My whole thing with it is I just hate the wild inaccuracy. Like, you don't usually see, like, the problem is it'll happen with even a Drew Brees or Tom Brady caliber kind of accuracy in Madden. And it's stuff like you'll run one of those deep, whatever the hell you call them, like S routes, and you'll throw on the break where they're between the corner and the safety. And in real life, if it's a bad throw, it's probably going to be like a few feet off of the wide receiver and just go into the dirt. But in Madden, it goes only to a position that's perfect for the safety to break on it and get an interception.
Yeah.
Like 6 yards wide right where it's nowhere near where the wide receiver could get it. And it's just that kind of stuff. Like, these are the players in the NFL that are capable of hitting a 2x2 window between three guys, and you're going to have them botch a wide open throw like that.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's every time I see that, all I can think of is that one like Huggies commercial Drew Brees did back when he first set the NFL single season completion percentage record, where it was something about like how durable the diapers were, and Drew Brees is like 40 yards away and he hits the diaper right in the middle of the freaking diaper. And I'm like, for some reason, it's just a weird commercial, so it's always stuck in my mind for starters. But it's just like one of those things. Like, it's like Drew Brees is one of, if not, I mean, statistically, he is the most accurate quarterback in NFL history. But it's like, he can't hit a crossing route, 4 times a game.
I was telling I can't remember. Well, shit, I can't remember if you were in there or not. Oh yeah, you were in the commish chat. I ran halfback wheel out of that single back tight versus the computer, and I was targeting that post route that breaks in the middle because it was a cover 2 shell, and the ball just bullet passes right into the line to the cornerback that's defending the drag route that's coming over. And he picks it off, standing in the middle of O-line and D-line, just standing there. And I was like, all right, don't even try. Like, that's cool, Madden.
I swear, they get lazy with some of their code sometimes. Like,
and
I feel like you could take
conservative carry stuff. And that's, like I said, I apologize, Connor. I was bitching about that part of the game with Atwater, having personal experience with him and knowing his rating is 82 carry and hit sticking him all game long, and he doesn't fumble once. That kind of stuff.
Or my favorite is like when like the QB thing is really bipolar too. Like, if a QB gets hit sticks and you fumble, I'm okay with it, right? But like, it seems like it only happens one way in the game. So like, let's say I'm playing you, Corey, you hit stick me, I fumble. It seems like if I go to hit stick you and I nail you, he holds onto the ball. It's a one-sided thing to me, in my experience at least.
Yeah. I was playing some game recently, and it was that way. The guy tried to hurdle me with his 60-something carrying quarterback, and I hit sticked him with a 90-plus hit power linebacker.
And he did like a triple cartwheel or something and held onto the ball.
Yeah. And I did that to him like 3 or 4 times in the game. And it was just, give me a break for the love of God. But then on the other side of the ball, the quarterback is getting strip sacked as soon as I get into scoring position kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, I know that which it's frustrating to see too, because I know they reworked quarterback carrying. So even a quarterback with 90 carrying is like 2 or 3 times more likely to fumble than a running back with 90 carrying. But then you'll just see games sometimes where a 60 carrying quarterback will be 10 times less likely to fumble than a 99 carrying running back. And it's just, you just kind of sit there and question what on earth is going on.
Like, if that stuff's going to happen, I don't mind it. It's just, to me, it needs to be more consistent so that it can be figured out both ways.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to be messed up fairly.
Yeah. And I don't know if I don't even know if it'll be this week or next week, or it'll probably be not this week for sure, but it'll probably be in the next couple weeks when we get finalized on some of the other technical league stuff that we'll probably end up going over it on one of these podcasts just for ease of access for everyone. But
we got a lot of things that we're taking out of the rules and that we're changing, so the league will be different in how it's handled compared to how it was handled in 18, which should give us an overall better CFN product.
Yeah. I think the one thing that I think is an interesting point that I kind of want to just bring up Not that we're again not finalized on everything, but I know it's probably. I mean, it's definitely one thing that we're going to end up implementing to a degree is the non-trading of certain rookies and stuff depending on the round drafted, which I just want to bring up from a standpoint that I think it's a good idea to help keep
it's
parity.
realistic.
It's realistic, but it also helps keep parity from a sense of
You get a guy who trades like their first round pick, right?
Mhm.
And he leaves the league. And then you're joining, like, let's say the Ravens, which is going to be Josh. So we don't have to worry about him leaving, but someone traded Lamar Jackson. You try to sell the Ravens to somebody. I mean, they're going to want Lamar Jackson, right? And so you tell,
Yeah.
he's actually traded. So, and then, I mean, it's done. So, I mean,
it's not like it's like a 6-year league.
It goes into like so much more than just that, but I mean, you never really see first round rookies getting traded. I mean, you do, but
I mean, there have been
rarely.
pointed out like a couple exceptions, but the whole point is that what we've kind of unfortunately
always-
learned over the last couple years is that if we make an exception for the exceptions will become the
Right.
norm.
Exactly,
And
and that's the one thing we can't do to keep, like, we can't just have like 2 or 3 here and there, because then we got to look at all the other deals as well. So there's like almost impossible to determine what first round pick is, you know what I mean, like is tradable and which one isn't.
And it's not that we're trying to like screw anyone. And I feel like people have kind of gotten the idea for one way or another that we're trying to like, oh, we're just doing this because we don't like. So we're not trying to do anything. It's not anything like that. It's more of a, we
and if you don't like what the team you're choosing drafted, I mean, honestly, why are you even gonna be them?
That team. I mean, yeah, that's gonna hopefully be the crux of your team and the talent on your team.
Like mostly, especially when leagues start up, week 1 of the NFL is you want to play on that team mainly because of the rookies, unless you're a fan of that team, or just
in which case you still want to play with the rookies.
Right, and so it's just, I don't know. It's a good rule in my opinion. I mean, we always had that right away off the bat in Oasis. You can't trade rookies just in general. We kind of went off of that like to later round picks, like we're gonna end up doing it here. So I like the rule a lot. I'm glad you brought it up.
I know the one thing that got brought up the most was like the Trent Richardson trade or the Deshaun Kaiser trade, and it's like no one. I mean, yeah, that happens, but I mean, I think even just goes to show how many people are pointing it out. If we make an exception and say, okay, well, Deshaun Kaiser was traded after his first year, so second round picks can all be traded after their first year, and we're still not finalized on whether that's going to be the cutoff or not. But point being is we've already seen like a situation where you've got 7 or 8 or 9 second round picks from this draft that would end up being traded the first year. And so then it's not a case where it's, 1 every 3 or 4 years. It's 7 or 8 every year.
Yeah, and it's trying to find that balance where guys can make the team theirs, but also not completely blow the team apart, so that unfortunately for Spencer, we don't have a Miami Dolphins situation where he was lucky enough to have a CPU drafted stud quarterback, but outside of that has absolutely nothing to support the guy.
Yeah, I mean it's as much about keeping parity in the league for trying to rebuild teams as it is anything else, and along with trying to just stay realistic and really just everything that comes along with that.
Yeah, and I guess some of the other things that we can kind of give insight to is items like playing the computer or playing APs. Next cycle, we're doing away with that. So in the instance that you have a game versus a computer, it would be the same as it is now, where you get a force win. And if you play someone that is on AP, so long as you made appropriate scheduling attempt and you were available, that's something that we would review as committee to award a force win for as well. The caveat to that, to keep activity up, is since we have a B League, which we'll segue to in a second, is if you're going on AP too many times in the season, then we would remove you from the league and put you down into the B League and replace you in here.
Without a valid reason.
Right, yeah. True. If we referenced Spencer, he had something go on personally where he had to take time off and go AP for like a season and a half or something like that. Stuff like that, that's legitimate, and you let us know. We're not going to do anything on those. But the ones where it's just my season's done, take the win. Those are the guys that we don't want to hang out for too long because too commonly they're going AP for a season. They go into the draft. They play their first game. They lose. They leave the league.
Right.
And then we've got to fill that spot. And
Yeah, luckily we do have in both leagues. I'm actually a commission. We both have a solid core of users that we don't really have to worry about that with. But you always get like a group of 5 or 4, maybe. That's almost impossible to keep those teams filled consistently throughout the cycle. You know, things like with Stefan that happens. You know, you just kind of get sick of Madden until you leave. Then you get Lewis who joins in, plays a little bit, then he goes MIA, and now you have the new Chargers. And then same thing with the Broncos. We never had a consistent user. So you have that like bad apple of group of teams. But we are lucky, I think, to have like a solid core of groups.
Mm-hmm. And
we've grown a lot from 17 to 18, and hopefully we just kind of keep that trend up.
Big time.
Yeah, and I think the as Corey kind of said, we'll segue into a little more. We've done a lot more kind of just general discussion about the B League since last time, and I think there's a lot of really good potential to come that I think we all see coming from that, in not only helping to keep the league more, regularly filled, really ideally always filled, and then, keeping activity up in the main league, because we're talking about not only ways of having, X a number of taking FL forced losses without a valid reason to move down, but then also, we're still just spitballing other ideas and stuff like that, and just in general.
Yeah, what's really exciting is a month out from release, or at least the early releases. The last time I went and looked and counted, we had 11 guys on our wait list for the B League already. And I think one of them added a couple of his friends. We might be up to like 13 or 14 guys.
And that's not even including the guys that are – I think we've got a couple that will be dropping down. And then obviously –
we have the commissions in there, yeah. We're like 7 or 8 teams away from filling the B League already, which is awesome. And then once the game drops and we throw a Reddit post up, I have no concerns of us being full.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, especially now that we're 2 years tenured and everything like that. I think the 2 years tenured is going to be really good to helping influence people to realize that this isn't like, I think last year we had more involvement than we did off Reddit when the league started up, and that's kind of a growth that I expect to continue as the league becomes more tenured and more well established. And I think especially having all the immersion stuff we do just goes to help that even more, because guys know that they can join up in the league, and it's going to be more of a long haul thing and not just something that's going to die out in March when interest drops a little bit. So
right.
I think we're all looking forward to getting even more and more a core group of users that are going to want to play year round, and that's an exciting thing. Sorry, that was a little bit of a rant right there, but
yeah, I mean, I feel like without really discussing stuff that we haven't really made concrete yet, I mean, we pretty much covered a lot tonight. I mean, is there anything you guys want to kind of like talk about before we kind of head out here? I mean, I kind of think we've been on for almost an hour, but if there's anything you guys want to comment on, we can talk about it a little bit. If not, we can call it a night.
I mean, if you want me to go off, I said I'd rattle off a top 10 receivers list before the night was over. If we want to finish
debate, but yeah, you can go ahead and you can.
I'm not going to turn this into a debate or anything.
Go ahead and let us know your top 10 receivers, buddy.
Hot take.
I got it. Hot take. There will be a couple hot takes on here. I think I'd have to go number one. I'd probably go AB, and then contrary to what a couple people in here have been saying over the last few days, I'd still give the advantage to Julio just because I've seen him do it longer.
I think 2, 3, and 4 are really close in my opinion.
Yeah, Julio's 2 for me. I will give Nuke 3, and then I will put Odell at 4, which I feel like 1 through 4 is. Well, I don't think 1 is arguable. I think AB
is the one lock that you can pretty much have.
Yeah, but I think the names themselves are pretty commonplace, pretty interchangeable. I mean, you've got 1 through 4 is pretty much the same for most people. Right. I will do what Emmons was not willing to earlier, and I say earlier referencing the TOS pod. I will put Thomas at 5. I will put just because he's just from what we've seen in 2 years from him, as well as just the full rounded versatility that he's shown as a player, that he runs routes from every spot on the field, runs every route in the route tree, is a more than willing blocker, which given his size is, I would expect from him, but it's still a good thing to see. And I think this time
on 5.
Yeah, I know. I wonder why.
Hey, Marius Thomas is not that good. I'm sorry.
I agree.
No, let's see. 6. Oh, this is where it gets
top 10, just so we could talk about Michael Thomas.
No, I actually wanted to talk. I mean, the top 4, you can't really. There's not a lot to say.
Who's your 6th receiver, buddy?
I gotta go pull it. Don't call me buddy. Don't belittle me.
Oh, you're my buddy. I call everybody buddy.
I know, I'm messing with you. You know what? 6. I will say it just to piss Pook off a little bit and just to make Emmons happy.
Oh wow! Here we go.
I'll put. You know what? I'll go hot take. I will put Marvin Jones at 6. I think he's a very underrated receiver. I think he has grown into being a great jump ball receiver. I think those battles he has every year with Xavier Rhodes have really sharpened his skill set over the last couple years. And, I think of Marvin Jones, the first play I think of is that Thanksgiving game when he went and mossed Xavier Rhodes and just trotted in for the touchdown. And not a lot of guys in this league can say that they've done that to arguably the top number 2 or 3 corner in the league. So I will go with the first hot take and put Marvin at 6. I'll put AJ at 7. I don't think AJ Green. Everyone's saying AJ Green fell off. He only had 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns last year, or whatever.
Right. I mean, he's just been consistent with what he does. So I mean,
no one talks about AJ Green. He's just the best jump ball receiver in the NFL because of the fact that the man juggles like he can juggle like nobody else, which is just a really funny skill to have. But it's made him a really good receiver, so you can't really laugh at it. And Number 8, I will. I'll put Mike Evans at number 8. I think that he is a guy who, while he's not a refined route runner necessarily, he's still a good route runner.
You are upsetting Pook and me right now.
Oh, I am. Or do you have someone you're wanting me to say?
I'm waiting to see if you put him in your top 10 first before
you say anything. There's a good chance I'm forgetting someone because, like I said, I am kind of doing this off the top of my head. But
you had a list prepared here.
I said 2 minutes before we started this that it was going to be off the top of my head.
Come on, give us number 9.
You're really. You're not gonna like me for that. Actually, let me. First.
I just want to hear who it is.
I'll put Tyreek at 9.
Okay.
I do think he's a versatile piece. I mean, him in the punt return game is something else. And number 10.
Okay. Did you mention him being a receiver in punt return game?
I said he's a very good receiver. He's a good versatile receiver, and I mentioned that he's also good in the punt return game. Yes.
Pook, I hope you know I'm agreeing with you right now, but go ahead and let's see who your number 10 is.
Who is that? Tyreek?
Well, I'm not necessarily upset with a Tyreek. He just threw in the punt return thing when we're talking about receivers.
Okay, fine.
So
I won't throw it in.
Who was 6 and 7? 6 was Marvin Jones. 7 was who?
I put 6. I put Marvin at 6. I put
AJ Green at 7.
AJ Green at 7.
I need to hear his 10 because I might lose my shit if he doesn't put him in here.
In 8 was Tyreek.
No, 9.
8 was Mike Evans.
And 9 was Tyreek. Okay, who's 10?
9 was Tyreek. Yeah. 10. Oh, you're like stressing me out now. You're making me think that
name who your number 10 guy is because
I've got to point on this now.
I've got someone. Like I know there's someone I'm missing. Is the problem?
I'm gonna end up debating this. I'm gonna hate Crips for it. Who is number 10?
I'm missing someone. I know
Just
I'm missing
who
someone.
number 10 is. I'm in your head. Just say who your number 10 guy is.
You are in my head.
Just who's your number 10 receiver in the NFL, Crips?
You know what? I'm just gonna say Doug Baldwin because you're in my head.
Doug Baldwin.
What? Okay, all right. Emmett, before you jump into this, before you jump in and
someone.
Well, I need to
before
hear
you
real
jump
number
in
10
and-
before he just ends on Doug Baldwin. Is that who you're going with the 10 before he goes ahead?
Oh my God. Okay, thank you. I need it. Okay, we're okay. Thank you, Pook. Okay, I knew
so
I
you
was
looked
missing
at the chat,
people.
so you cheated. Okay.
Okay, I told you I was forgetting people. Okay, give me 2 seconds.
2 seconds. That whole top 10 took you like 10 minutes.
Okay, yeah, because I was trying to think of people.
Right.
Okay, so I had Thomas at 5. I had who did I have at 6 again?
Marvin Jones.
Okay, never mind. Keenan at 6. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Keenan's going
there's
6.
Keenan.
Yes, Keenan Allen is going 6.
quite the edit.
Yeah, I told you I was forgetting people. 7.
He wants to give a top 10 list and he forgets people.
You know what? This is a crash and burn. It's at the end of it. Let's just call
This
it a
is
day.
about as
Okay.
bad as watching bitches.
We might just want to.
Hold on. Time out. This is about as bad as watching bitches defend your ranking last year.
Oh my God, this was bad.
I'm like,
This is
Okay.
a crash and
So-
I was
burn.
like, who has he beaten? And he was like,
He said he beat LJ soundly, and then it was like, okay, but then the next week he conceded against Poop. He was like, what?
No. He lost to Pook. It wasn't that bad. He conceded.
yeah,
Vicious.
he conceded.
Wait,
to
what?
him.
Oh my God, that was. I'm sorry.
we should end it
I
there
just made.
because this is-
I'm sorry. I
Okay,
just made-
yeah, that top
I ended
10.
this. We can continue this conversation after this. Go ahead, Corey.
I gotta say, like in the top 10, I don't know how you put Tyreek over Brandon Cooks,
Because I forgot. I
Like-
forgot people. Okay, I forgot people.
and I don't know how
favorite-
AJ
favorite-
Green doesn't make that list.
He did. He was on
I put
7.
it. I put AJ Green at 7.
And then my favorite thing of the Tyreek Hill thing was, he was like, yeah, he's pretty dangerous in the receiving game. And then yeah, he's a pretty good punt returner too. Like, oh, great. I'm glad you're selling me on a wide receiver being in the top 10 on his punt returning skills.
I told you I forgot people. I'm sorry. I will. I'll be better prepared for hot
Anyways,
takes next
what
time.
I've been trying to say, I tried ending this on a good note, and Cripps wanted to have his fame and glory in his top 10, and he crashed and burned pretty quickly. So I think we can call it a night.
I regret that.
LJ, I think your game's over.
More prepared next time.
It is. Yeah,
I will
that
be.
was-
Did you win, LJ? Well, I don't know if LJ won or not.
I did.
All right, so LJ's
Did-
5
Top
did-
5
LJ
running backs. Number 5 is Russell Wilson.
Okay, we gotta
No, what do you mean, Marcus?
turn us
Mariota?
off. Turn us off, LJ.
Because he's so dangerous in the read option game.
Top 10 receivers. Mariota. He caught his own pass.
Yo, you forgot Nick Foles, man. How you gonna do
Hey,
that without-
Drew Brees did it first.
More-
Drew Brees did it first. Drew Brees is a
Yeah.
top 10 receiver.
But did Nick Foles
Everybody-
throw it to himself?
Thanks for tuning in as always. LJ, please get us out of here before I kill
All
Chris.
right. Catch y'all next week.
Oh my God.